It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. Your Feel Good Breakfast Show, the first of the year, but many more to come. Now, we're carrying on in the magic right now and continuing our discussion around identifying things that are holding you back to experiencing a better life, and particularly as it relates to the new year. Now, one area where people find it hard to start fresh or even have a positive outlook, especially during January, of course, is our finances. I'm talking about January. Now, don't worry no longer, because Sylvia Walker is here, financial planner and author, joining us in the studio to help us deal. Sylvia, how are you doing?
I'm great, thanks, Red, and yourself?
Oh, very, very good. It's been a good festive. Did you have a good holiday?
I did a good break, yeah.
A good break. I think it was for everybody. I mean, the festive's come, it's gone. But some of us might have potentially overspent, all right? And I know with the holidays, we get caught up in the craziness of it, but now we've got to deal with it, right? So for many of us that are dealing with this sort of financial crisis in the start of the year, what tips do you have for us? Where do we begin dealing with our financial situation?
So I think the first thing I want to say is that, you know, if you've got yourself into some kind of financial tight spot over the festive season and you're now sitting with really hanging in for that payday, you've just got to bite the bullet.
Okay.
There's no quick solution. You know, you always hope there's something that can be done quickly.
Yeah.
You've got to bite the bullet, and you've got to then look and see what you can do differently. Because every year we talk about January. You know, it's almost like a joke. We overspend in December, January we suffer. We use our credit cards. I want to say, in terms of a tip though, you know, cut your spending to the bone this month. Try not to incur any debt, because any debt that you incur is, you obviously got to pay it back.
You've got to deal with it at some point.
You've got to pay it back, yeah. So, you know, I always say, if it's, you know, feel the burn. If it's really bothering you, the situation you're in, stop that cycle, break that cycle. So where do you want to be in a year's time? You know, we often, you know, life is about milestones. So every 1st of January is a milestone. Where do you want to be in a year's time in terms of your money, so that you don't repeat this pattern every year, and then start making plans to get there?
I like that. So let's make this more practical. I mean, let's say the goal for the year is to end up without any debt towards the end of this year. How then can we incorporate good financial practices to ensure that we don't get into the situation where we're resulting in debt? How do we deal with that? What's something that you can give us for this year and something we should pay attention to?
So debt is normally, it's the biggest New Year's resolution people have. They've done lots of surveys around this. Everybody says, this year, I want to get rid of my debt. But it's easy. We say it on the 31st, and by the 3rd, we're already swiping that card because we've run out of money. Yeah. So to get rid of debt, you really need to make a commitment. You need to say to yourself, you list your debts, and you say, I'm going to pay off the first one, and you pay it off. I'll say it's easy. You leave the card, cut up the card, just don't incur any further debt, but pay it off. I think we often in life too, we want a quick fix. You know, we live in this instant society, so I want to get rid of stuff, rid of my debt quickly. I want to build up R1 million very quickly. But things take time. Getting rid of debt takes time. Building up an investment takes time. So get rid of debt, start investing, pay yourself first. Even if you are putting away R100 a month, maybe that's all you can afford. But you know, by the end of the year, you'll have 1,200 Rand that you didn't have a year ago. So it's really about doing those small things. As Shanaz, I was actually listening to her earlier, those small wins that can actually build up over time.
Small wins that add up. And I like the fact that you say feel the burn. It's almost like forcing you to not spend money you don't have, essentially, right? On top of that, I think I've heard a story about parents struggling to pay their school fees. Now, that's something that you really need to pay attention to. It's something that, even if you don't necessarily have the cash, you need to make it happen. What sort of tips for parents do you have for this year, and those that are struggling with tuition at the moment?
So we haven't spoken about budgeting, but obviously it's important to draw up your budget, and school fees are not an unexpected expense. So you actually should have it as part of your budget. But there are cases where people actually can't afford, you know, they really are in a tight spot. So the first thing I want to say is, don't just not pay. Because if you don't pay, the school can go and report that to the credit bureau, and that can impact on your credit rating. So don't make that mistake. Secondly, if you get a bonus perhaps sometime in the year, or a 13th check, look at using that. So pay your school fees annually instead of monthly if you can. I know when my daughter was at school, they actually gave a discount. So if you paid annually, you got a discount for doing that. So see if that's an option. And then lastly, if you really, really are, you know, you can't make it, apply to the school governing body for a reduction in school fees. So there is that process available. But as I say, the worst thing to do is to keep quiet. You actually need to face it and then see what plans you can make around that.
Well, Sylvia, thank you so much for allowing us to get one step ahead of our finances this year. And of course, for you, Mzansi, that is the plan. The plan is to plan. If you're looking for any more tips, you can find them at sylviawalker.co.za. She's here to serve you this year and make sure that you are financially free and eliminate any of that debt that you do have. So, of course, that can be a mandate for this year. And on top of that, let's make a mandate for this year to also be lots of entertainment. Check it out.